Welcome back to the channel, and thank you all for watching HCKT TV. Make sure you visit Everett, Kentucky. That's my hometown and the hometown of heroes. While you're visiting Everett, stay at Black Mountain Cabins and Campers, located there in Everett, Kentucky, just minutes from the trailhead. Also, while you're in Everett, eat at the Southern Belle Restaurant, located in downtown Everett. Also, if you support the channel, scan that QR code. Let's get started into this video. Thank you for watching. Where is the transparency at, Mr. Government? I can't see it. The Black Mountain Off-Road Adventure Area has released a 2025 riding schedule, so please come to Harlan County and ride with me. I hope to see you there. What is going on, everybody? I want to thank you all for watching. Welcome back to the channel. What you're about to see, is what has been going on and what went on over in North Carolina when the hurricane hit the Hollers. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this, get the story out about what's going on over there. This will probably be brought to you in 3 parts because it's such a great deal of information. A lot of information going to be coming your way here through these next 3 videos. So make sure you like, comment, and share and get the story of what's going on to these people out.
Their own decisions right now.
We had no clue that the water level was going to get that high that quick.
Keep working. Quick holder.
And it just forcibly takes everything in its pathway and moves things that you think are not movable.
Oh, crap. The bridge is gone. It has washed a house away.
And that's the thing about 911 is there's so much that we hear that we're never going to unhear.
We probably need somebody to come get us because there's trees falling all over the house. Just in the last few minutes, we've had 3 more trees. Our cars, our house, everything's destroyed.
We got to get into an 8-year-old.
We're gonna have to try to get out of here. We know we're gonna be underwater here at my house.
We're closing the Cane River Bridge, both sides. The water is closing over the bridge at this time.
The most urgent situation this morning, though, flash flood emergency for Avery, Mitchell, and Yancey counties. Reported catastrophic flooding, numerous road closures, flooded bridges, inundated and damaged structures, ongoing water rescues in both counties.
We've had cell phones go down. We've got swiftwater deploying reference rescue and traumatic injury.
There's also still a flash flood warning, considerable flash flood warning for Avery, Mitchell, and Yancey counties. That's until 7 a.m. We're very concerned about the flood risk rapidly increasing in western North Carolina.
You keep hearing flood event. We had a flood event. No, we had a hurricane event in Mitchell County in the western part of the state. It was a hurricane event.
So Wednesday, we had a line of storms come through Wednesday evening, and we had already had flooding that night due to them. So when the storm come through, the rivers was already at capacity.
Like 2 days before, we had a heavy rain event that was already, there was like 10 inches of rain that fell. If you get 10 inches of rain and then they're calling for another 20 to 30 on top of it, it's going to be bad. And I put some stuff out on social media just saying, look, if you're not from, a lot of people have moved here in the last, since COVID especially, just to getting out of cities and things. And so I put out a thing just warning people like, hey, if you're not from here and not familiar, I remember in '98, my parents owned a hotel just here in town, and I remember watching the National Guard helicopters fly out from in front of the hotel at the Bakersfield when that happened. So flooding's not unusual here, but I don't think anybody saw it to this level.
Some of the first estimates for rainfall here in the area were somewhere around what we experienced with Hurricane Francis or Hurricane Ivan 20 years ago, 2004. So we kind of felt like that was maybe what we were to expect this time. And then there was a weather forecast. We just need to be prepared for a historic rainfall. And at that moment, I realized this is going to be different.
Already knew that everything was saturated, and so we had the opportunity to meet as a department and hopefully get a game plan together.
I actually got to go out and do some ride-arounds and see how much water there was, so that brings more concern because you actually see what's out there. Where typically in the 911 world, you're only hearing things. I had meetings with all the proper people, pulled in all the fire departments, EMS, county officials, and sat down and met and talked about what we were looking at, what we needed to prepare for. When we started hearing historical numbers, of course the year 1916 was thrown out, and biblical proportions, that started throwing some really big flags.
And the biggest thing that we found out then, they got 24 inches of rain in 24 hours. So we knew if we had that on top of what we already had, that we were going to have a lot of devastation.
Yeah, we've already set some record in the rain department, and we're just day one into this storm event. Be mindful of the danger of this high water event, or at least a high rain event, and the possibility of high water.
Well, the situation that developed ahead of Helene is that, several days leading up to landfall, like 3 days before, we already established like a tropical connection from the Gulf, and a conveyor belt of rain was lifting northward into the southern Appalachian region 3 days prior to the landfall, but we just had a combination of things that just led to this catastrophic event.
It was about 12 o'clock that afternoon, right after lunch, and basically said, you might want to get all your stuff out of your building and off your property. The storm has changed a little bit. And I said, okay, how bad is it? And she said, it's going to be over your building. So I'd been in that location 28, 30 years, never had water on the property. Pulled the last load out about 6:30, and the water was still 15 foot below my wall. Looking back now, I would have gotten everything off the property, out of the building, but didn't think it was going to be anything like it turned out.
And could be additional 3 to 7 inches in the North Carolina mountains. So some pretty intense flooding may occur there as we go through the next 24 hours.
When Helene made landfall, two factors came really into play that made it a worst case scenario for our region. Number one, it was moving really fast when it made landfall. Within 7 or 8 hours, it was already on our doorstep, and it was still a tropical storm when it came into the southern Appalachian region. And then the track was the second factor that played a huge role in squeezing out all of that moisture, with the track kind of leading the storm just to the south and west of our region. That provided the counterclockwise flow and that tremendous amount of southerly and southeast winds that just went up the east side of the mountains, and that lift from the mountains just wrung out all of that tropical moisture. Some of the mountains of North Carolina, thanks to that upslope flow, had as much as 10 to 20 inches of rainfall, with local amounts up to 2 feet.
Grew up in Yancey County. My dad is a commissioner. And at the time of the storm, I was working for him. He's got a business, a paving business. We had talked about the forecast and whatnot, and the commissioners were in the situation room or whatever and following the storm and watching the forecast. And as it got closer, the more worried they got. And so Dad called me on Thursday, the night before the storm, and asked if me and my friends would come stay at his shop so we would be mobile and we wouldn't be trapped. We'd be able to get out and help people. We woke up about 3 that morning. Dad was in and out all night. That dude never went to sleep. He said, the situation's really bad. You guys need to be ready to work today. We went to the Emergency Operations Center with him and was looking at the amount of flooded roads and whatnot they were already flooded the day before the storm actually hit. We went back up to my dad's shop, and he lives right below there now. And the water was coming off the side of the mountain, threatening his camper and trailer that my grandfather lives in. And so right in the middle of the storm, me, my dad, and my two other friends were out essentially fighting water with sandbags and gravel and heavy equipment for about 2 hours.
Oh, Lord. Alicia. Alicia. Get up. Get down.
It really started hitting at that moment what exactly was going on, because you can never prepare yourself for a storm like this.
Out of all the disasters in 35 years I've ever seen, that was the only time that I have ever seen that we actually called members back to the station because it was so dangerous. We felt like that there was about a 4 or 5 hour window there that we simply could not put anybody out. So we called everybody back.
It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my career. December 1st, I celebrated my 28th year with Mitchell County in the 911 Center. Having to make that decision to tell everybody to stop work because there was so many trees coming down, the danger to them, and not having any resources to send.
Realize here my location. I just had 2 more trees fall. I was able to get out of the way just in time, though.
We cannot get to Green Young Cemetery. I don't really know what to do.
Communications, all officers cutting trees due to winds. Need to cease operations, get to safety. All officers cutting trees due to winds. We need you to cease tree cutting operations and get to safety.
And we had to just stop operations until it settled back down enough to get help to them. And that's the thing about 911 is there's so much that we hear that we're never going to unhear in that world. People begging for our help, knowing that when the wind came and the amount of trees that were coming down, as hard as we were trying to get people into them, the amount of cutting that was taking place, not being able to get to them and having to tell those people that we're trying to get to you, but right now we can't. It's heart-wrenching. There was so many tears shed in the 911 center because we knew that the storm was just to the magnitude that we could not get people to everybody that needed the help.
You need to be aware that they're evacuating Bakersfield Fire Department. It's about to be underwater.
When you think about the magnitude of the damage throughout the whole county and the amount of calls that was going on, we were only trying to get life-threatening emergencies on the radio, but at the time we had multiple life-threatening situations ongoing.
Just how quick everything happened for us being right here on the river. In just a matter of a few hours, our bridge was blocked off, so we knew half of our district we couldn't get to. And then we had some of our firemen on the other side of the bridge.
We got stranded, so about 4:30, I guess it was, my brother called me because we had pulled in shifts here at the station. He called me and told me, he said, Cody, if you're going to get out of the road, you better come now because it's already in the road. It is me and one of the lieutenants at the time was going up to a neighboring district to help get a woman that was trapped on a log pile surrounded by water. Then the chief hollered at us on the radios, and that was right before the radio systems went down, and told us, he said, if you're getting back to the apartment, you better come. It's fixing to come over top of the bridge. And literally 3 minutes up the road to here, we couldn't get here.
Some of those firemen's family was here with us, so of course they were extremely concerned.
No, it's bad. Really, I don't know how to explain it. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of that day I don't remember.
We landed helicopters here. All that fence was gone. We had Chinooks come in with like fuel bladders. It was crazy. It was nonstop, daylight to dark. Those helicopters, like being in Vietnam. But our veterans is like, man, this is like Nam, you know. The Weather Service, they sent out the most, I guess, dooming message I've ever seen in my life.
A flash flood emergency, catastrophic threat of flooding there.
Imminent life threat, seek shelter, stay away from creeks. I've never seen that. And I just had this feeling of doom right then. I'm like, oh, that's bad. We started out answering a distress call for a law enforcement vehicle that was trying to get some folks home. It had suffered mechanical damage. So we went to assist our brothers. So we get up, we go to this call, we retrieve the law enforcement vehicle and the officers and the folks. We get them here, and then shortly after that, the power went out. So we're trying to send some folks up to check on a lady. That's when we start figuring out the roads are being cut off. We can't get to certain places. We're isolated, but we lost one of our firefighters during this. He became a victim himself from the water. And we got the radio call for that. You know, hey, I can't get out of my house. Is there any way y'all can get to me? Then it went downhill. So it was completely muddy. You couldn't, very murky's not even the word, solid, almost red. Trees and rocks, you could hear the sound of the large rocks rolling. Trees, huge, like 20, 24-inch trees with roots rolling with it. Just massive amounts of debris. Cars, you could hear the car alarms, but the rocks is what's scary, because you knew that had some mass. And to hear that come by so close to you that's scary. And we're trained in swift water. And this is a scenario where they tell you don't go near that. But we get up here to this intersection of Cattail. The road's gone. And the river's so powerful. It's the most intense thing I've ever seen. So we try to, against what we're trained to do, send some folks in to try to cross this. Was not successful. And he radios that, hey, pretty much this is it. My house is floating away. And that's the last thing we hear was him screaming at his wife over the radio. So we're trying harder. We can go nowhere. We're standing around. We cried together. We thought our friend who's a lieutenant, that was it. He was gone. We had a lot of other people to take care of that had come to shelter, so we just focused on that. And, with us, we're like, hey, there's always a chance. Tomorrow morning, we'll go after him. We're going up there. And we did. We made it across with some heavy machinery. We did find him. Is the greatest feeling ever. We found him. He had been at another house. He had literally floated down the river to another house, got out with him and his wife, cut to pieces. So we're like, we gotta get this. We got a lot of people injured. We have to get them out of here. So we concentrated on working on the roads to get these people medical help. This was completely backwards from what we traditionally see. Flooding in 04, we learned through the years, if you can just get to daylight, we're going to be okay. As soon as it gets daylight, it seems like the water recedes. This one was opposite. So we had that false hope. After we get the deputy, we're having a good time. Oh, we got you. We're all good. It's going to be daylight soon. Things will get better. But it got worse. And that window from when it got daylight until the next 5 or 6 hours it was way worse.
Lower Street is completely flooded. The park is completely destroyed. The old company down there is gone. Ingle's got about, I don't know how much water in it.
Anyway, guys, that's part 1. Part 2 is fixing to play, along with part 3. I'm going to drop these all at once. So Please watch them, comment, share, help these people get the word out, help them get the help they need down there. Thank you guys. God bless you. And I'll see you guys on the next video.